How are we doing today, folks? So today is actually a video that, well, it's been a long time in the making. I had surgery on my nose for nasal polyps back on December 1st, 2021. So, year and almost a half ago, not quite there yet. You know, I'm basically there, but about a year and a half ago. I did a video shortly after I got everything out and unpacked and everything, and how much I was able to breathe, but I really wanted to go through the whole surgery process. So if you haven't seen that video, you might want to check that out. I'll put a link at the top of the description. I'll put a thing at the end. I'll put a card here for it as well. But I've been asked many, many, many times to make a follow-up video. And I planned on it, and I just never did it. It's never really in front of me because it's not a product. So today, I thought I'd go through what I have experienced in that last year and a half, essentially, as well as answer some questions from the original video. I'm not going to get to everyone because there's a lot, 159 comments actually to be exact. Not all of them are questions, but I figure I'd go through some of the top comments and explain. Because more than anything else, if you've never had the surgery, like I didn't, where do you go for information to know what to expect? And what do you expect afterwards? Now, the big thing about this specific surgery, to be honest, like any surgery, it's going to be different for everybody. And my journey may not be the same as your journey. My surgeon might have done things differently than your surgeon would. So sit back, relax, let's go through everything. And if you are queasy at all on surgical stuff, I am even going to show some photos that I actually got from my surgeon after the surgery, kind of a before and after on both sides of the nose. It's not crazy gross. It is red and blood colored. So if you're queasy on that kind of stuff, I'll let you know before that happens, before I actually put them on the screen so that you can fast forward. So let's get into it. So I figured I'd try to make this maybe a little more intimate than my usual videos, because it's all about me and my cavities, right? But for those of you that don't know, nasal polyps are polyp growth in your nasal cavity, and it can do a lot of things. More than anything, it changes how you breathe, changes how you smell, if you can smell, and those polyp growths can be triggered by all sorts of different events. I'm not going to get into that. I have an idea of maybe how mine started. If it wasn't allergies, it was when I broke my nose. Is what it is. On top of that, like a lot of people that may be going through the surgery, that's the time that they may fix your septum as well. So in my case, I have had a deviated septum, and that's another thing that they were going in to fix when they did it. So there was a lot of material. The polyps are obviously in the way to keep me from breathing through my nose, but at the same time, my septum wasn't helping things. So even when I would use a nasal or a nasal rinse, I'd have to actually force the water through, mainly because of the polyps, but also because of the deviated septum to basically clean everything out. So that was one of the other things that they were going to do when I went in. Now, I am going to go out and say when I first moved back to my hometown here in Dubuque, Iowa, I went to a doctor, I'm not going to say names, older doctor, and that's when I was diagnosed with nasal polyps. And the thing that freaked me out more than anything is him talking about surgery, talking about the possibility of, the worst case scenarios, which doctors are kind of, I think, legally obligated to tell you, is, if we go too deep, that's really close to where the brain is. So if we punch through, there's all these sorts of things. And, you have polyps not only in here, but also in your sinuses up here and behind your cheekbones. And I think maybe the way they used to do it, he was talking about, we'll clear all these out. We'll probably might have to drill 2 holes in your cheekbones and to clear those out there. And that freaked me out to the point where I was like, okay, what can I do without doing surgery? And so they started me on prednisone. Prednisone is a steroid that helps shrink these things, does other things as well, but started rounds of prednisone. So first round I didn't really have any side effects, so that's a good thing, other than being extremely awake. So you want to make sure you take it in the morning, because you're not going to get a whole lot of sleep. Even if you take it in the morning, I didn't get great sleep at night, and very few hours, if that. But it did help. I could feel it shrink. It was kind of crazy. And then I did that like once or twice maybe total. And then I went back to the doctor. He had retired, so I had another doctor, which is my current doctor. And you know, I was going back to get another prednisone prescription because it was closing back up really bad again. He was all good about it. He actually liked doing a little different round of prednisone, so it was a little bigger pill, and not like, you know, 6 of them at once. It was like 4 of them at once, but larger pills, so actually bigger dose, and then taper down from there. And the first time I did those pills, I actually, all of a sudden, for the first time in like 13 years, I was able to smell something. It was really weird. And it didn't last very long, and then it went away. But I was like, oh wow, that definitely worked by shrinking it, right? That it happened on, I don't know how many days into the pills I was before I actually got a little bit of a scent. So I felt better actually, because, okay, maybe I am able to do this with chemicals. It's a bad thing to think about. I don't like taking drugs if I don't have to. But after multiple rounds of that, and over the last, you know, how many years, it was time to get surgery. And so when I got my surgery, everything was just leading up to, hey, I need to get this surgery. I can't just be popping pills all the time trying to fix this, because toward the end, the last year or two, I was doing it 4 to 6 times a year trying to get the prednisone pills to shrink it so I could breathe. I mean, it wasn't to smell, it was literally to try to breathe, because I could not breathe through my nose. So I sounded really nasal. If you watch my videos, a lot of times during that whole process, there was really nasally in some of them. But you know, if I took the drugs, reduced them down, I could breathe better. I wasn't as nasal, is what it is. But that's what that is. So going into it, more than anything, get out of this part of the video is your doctor's going to say things. Try not to freak out about them. They are legally required to kind of tell you everything and that they need to tell you. And I guess get a good feel for the doctor that you're working with. So the doctor that I had that actually eventually did the surgery, I felt really comfortable with, because he was really honest. He was really upfront with everything. He was really laid back with talking to me about everything and showing me on, you know, exactly what he was going to do. I'd bring up hey, yeah, I remember when he was talking about drilling holes, he was like, yeah, no, I don't do that. We don't really do that too much anymore. That's kind of the old school way of doing things. It was a really good talk that I got. Made me feel a lot more comfortable. And so then I had the surgery. Now, I did also have a vasectomy at the same time. It just kind of worked to hand in hand. I had the surgery planned for the nasal polyps, and then me and my wife had talked, because we already have our kids. We don't really need any more. We want to get away from other drugs as well for her. So I decided to do it on my part. And the nice thing about it is, through the same clinic and everything, talking with that doctor is like, hey, I'm getting this surgery done here in about a month or so. Is there any way that we could do it at the same time? And he was like, really, that'd be really great. And then he called my nasal, my ear, nose, and throat doctor, and they all worked hand in hand to schedule together. So one could do one, and then once he's done, the other one could do his thing. That, I think, was my saving grace in more ways than one, and I will get into that. So I'm being as open as I can on this entire video. So that said, had my surgery on December 1st, and then for the next couple weeks and all the stuff, I think it was like 12 days or 13 days after surgery, that's when I did my first video. Roughly 2 weeks, I guess, after surgery. And coming out of that, I felt fantastic. It was great. And not that long after surgery, after things started to heal, I actually started to smell things again. It was crazy. And I remember the first scent I got, I was cooking bacon, and I got a whiff of bacon. And it was weird, because if I smelled, I couldn't smell. Like if I just breathed in, I couldn't smell. But if I was like cooking, or like leaning over the bacon, and the bacon went up, and just like the vapor from the bacon went up, I could smell it. It was so weirdly, oddly delicious. Great first scent to have. I remember around Christmas time, the ham. Oh, the smell of ham was just so great. And several other scents in there that were great. It was never like back to normal smell. And I was hoping that maybe this is a sign of what's to come, or it's just because I'm done with surgery, things are healed, and no polyps, but I'm always worried that these polyps come back. I was told that they're most likely coming back. How long is it going to be before they start coming back? I have no idea. Fast forward to beginning of January, I was actually in Las Vegas for CES, and the last thing I remember smelling after that round was weed. In Vegas, it's all over. So I nothing against you, I just don't do it. But that was the last thing I smelled. After about halfway towards the end of that trip, I stopped smelling so many things. And then when I got back from that, no smell. I also got back to COVID. My wife had COVID, and then my kids had COVID, and I was fully ransacked with COVID all around me. Thankfully, I didn't catch it, or if I did, I'm a carrier of it. I'm not affected by it as much, and I'll just go with my graces on that one that I didn't technically get sick from it. But that said, I don't know if that spurred anything. Probably not, to be honest about it. But more than anything else, sense of smell was basically gone. And a couple months later, I decided, yeah, let's go back and see the doctor and just check in with him on everything. And checked in with him on everything. He looked at everything, and he was like, yep, they are starting to grow. They're very small right now. They're just up there at the very, very top. They're not going to get in your way of breathing anytime soon. However, it might be best to use prednisone. Obviously I've been using my Flonase. When you get the surgery for polyps, you are going to be using Flonase basically for the rest of your life, or at least I am. It's just I knew that it was going to be that way. But then when the prednisone came back, this is going to be kind of just every so often we'll probably want to do this. So they gave me a script for several refills that I can choose at my leisure when to take it. And since the surgery, I've taken it 2 times total, I think, so far. But it just shrinks things up. And to be honest, after the last round I did, I know in the fall, I was able to smell some slight things. So the polyps are not growing back crazy fast. They are growing back. I know they are. And it's just about injecting that Flonase into my nose, doing it the best I can in that, and paying attention that if I notice anything, that I'm taking the drugs necessary to reduce them so I don't have to have surgery again. Because if I'm not able to breathe through my nose, it's a nightmare. But the big thing about surgery is I'm able to breathe through my nose. Whether I'm on my bed sleeping or, doing anything, I'm able to use my nose at all times. And I know that's because A, obviously they removed polyps, but B, they also cleared things up for my septum and straightened it out and got a lot of that stuff figured out, so I have a more direct access to my breathing. So that's a really good thing, and that's what I was told. So everything from the surgery to now, I can't say that I specifically noticed anything different other than the sense of smell stuff. I think that I know that the polyps are growing, and I don't know, sometimes I feel like I may feel them, but, and not like feel them, but I can almost sense that they're there. So, and of course I know they are, but that is the story from beginning to end to where we are now, really, in my exact experience. So first, before we go into any of the comments, I wanted to show you photos of before and after. So queasy folks it's not crazy. There's not blood everywhere, but it is blood colored because it's shots from inside my nasal cavity. And I'm going to do both before shots and then both after. So here we go. This is the before shot on both left and right nostril. And this is the after shot of both left and right nostril. So that's what it looks like after the surgery. I'll put them all 4 of them up together here, and you can see the differences between them top to bottom, essentially. And you can see kind of where those polyps, those growths were that were blocking the nasal cavity. And then on the second shot, even though we have a lot of inflammation just from the surgery itself, you can definitely tell it's a lot cleaner going all the way back. Okay, so now I actually wanted to respond to some of the comments that I've had on my original video, try to clear up any of the questions and stuff like that, especially for those of you that are actually looking to have the surgery. Yeah, so top one on here, 29 plus, is from techgooch 9652. May butcher these things. Best video that I've seen since the surgery. I need to have the surgery, but I'm terrified. But thank you for the point where you are. I need to breathe, and I suggest the worst part is 7 days from recovery. I'm guessing, okay. I would say that the surgery itself, obviously you're out for. You're not going to feel that at all. After surgery, now, like I said, I had 2 surgeries at the same time, here and there, which is kind of crazy because all of my pain focusing was up here, not down there. So I didn't get any bad feelings down there, which is kind of crazy, right? Now I was sitting on the couch just relaxing as much as possible. But you're going to want to sit up pretty much for several days because your nose is packed. Even in my bed, I was sitting up as much as I could when I was sleeping. It wasn't the most comfortable sleep. And you can't breathe through your nose. You're breathing through your mouth 100% of the time, which isn't terrible because, of course, I was breathing out of my mouth 100% of the time almost before because I couldn't really breathe out of my nose. So that was the one saving grace for me, at least, is my nose was already packed to the point where it wasn't a huge difference other than I had all that blood and stuff, and it's packed. It's packed, not just I could probably try to breathe through it. So, yeah, I would tell you that the first 5 to 7 days is probably the worst in all reality. Then they pull that out, and it's like, whoa. They pull all the packing material out, and it's just like, holy cow. But it's like, don't breathe yet. And the next 2 weeks or whatever it is, packing it full of Vaseline. I didn't enjoy that, I will be honest. But, and I've swallowed, I think, more Vaseline than I ever want to admit because you'll pack it up and then all of a sudden you'll be sleeping or something and it'll kind of breathe in and it'll go back up in and then I can feel it come out and then I'm spitting it out. Oh, it's just terrible. But I would argue the first 7 days is probably the worst. So, all right. So Ray GS4TD, brother, you are a tougher person than me. Had surgery 2 days ago, and I am suffering here. Pretty spot on with the journey from what I've expected or experienced. Thank you for sharing. One thing to note is the tape really hurts when it pulls your beard out. Oh, I have no idea. Yeah, well, I do. I've had tape on when I used to have a beard. No fun mojo there. But that was a month ago, so hopefully you're feeling a lot better. Oh, that first one was 10 months ago, by the way. 5 months ago, 2 days until mine. Thank you for the unabridged, uncensored sharing your experience. Very much appreciated. I hope that you're breathing like a champion. For the most part. Yeah. Then I have Rotor Cuffs 8140, 7 months ago. I'm really glad surgery worked for you. I don't have polyps, rather just a really bad allergic rhinitis that went undiagnosed for decades. Felt like I was sick with flu most of the time. It got worse. It made me feel like I wanted to surgically cauterize my sinuses because I barely breathe and my nose is worse than a leaky faucet. Absolutely feels miserable. Feels impossible to live like that. Agreed. To be honest, yeah, whenever you can't breathe out of your nose, it's not enjoyable. It really isn't. Let's see here. We have Remington Steel 9075. Thank you for your very informative video. I've been told I should have surgery. The endoscopy revealed something that may or may not be a large polyp and was relieved that my septum is very deviated. After I got a CT scan this week, doc will review the results with me and we'll discuss options. What questions should I ask him? This is 3 weeks ago. I apologize not getting to this till now. Big is, what are the surgery risks? I've never had surgery in my life. I'm in my 50s. He said he doesn't do packing. Oh, that's interesting. So he cleans it out. Debridement would be done 2 weeks after surgery to clean out the clots, scabs, etc. to prevent scar tissue from forming. Like I said, every doctor is going to have a different way of doing this surgery. My doctor was all about making sure this thing was clean and didn't form scabs. So after I had it, all the goody stuff pulled out after, technically I think it's 6 days or whatever from surgery. It was all about keeping it as moist as possible by rinsing constantly and then packing with Vaseline so it didn't dry out. And how he put it to me, best my memory was, look, the second you start getting scabbing in there, can be really bad. Now, the other thing is, after the 2 weeks or whatever, after 2 weeks passed, after they pulled everything out, when I went back for my, to check to make sure that I was good to not do the Vaseline anymore, he looked in there, he was really happy, he was kind of amazed that I didn't have any scabbing really at all. Only a little bit of, some stuff was in there and that was it. And then, of course, he was like, oh, but at the same time, you haven't been able to breathe for a long time, so you're used to that. So the Vaseline covering your nose isn't the end of the world. And I said, yes, that is true. I haven't been able to breathe, so the troublesome part of it was just pushing all that Vaseline into my nasal cavity. But the big thing is, I would talk to your doctor about that one specifically, is the scabbing is the number one thing you want to prevent. So if they don't pack it, that I can see that, I guess, but at the same time, packing helps just soak up all the blood that's right after surgery, because you're going to have a lot of open sores, right? And they pack that, and once that comes out, then it's all about cleaning, constantly flushing your nose, and constantly, for me at least, it was the Vaseline, and that was just to keep it moist. So it stayed moist for a long period of time so it could slowly heal. And that's the big thing for me specifically. So RB12382 got my surgery done 2 weeks ago, and boy, oh boy, I'm so glad I've done with that. I'm not gonna say that word. I can finally breathe. I was born with DNS and was always ignored until last month when I was rushed to the ER with terrible pain. CT reports showing 6 nasal polyps plus the DNS. I was immediately asked to get surgery done. 2 weeks later, I feel much better, even though the soreness still exists. Hope you are feeling well. Yeah, and that's the thing. Even after the 2.5 weeks or whatever of all the maintenance stuff I had to do, I still do the flushing too periodically, because I will get regularly, to be honest. And I don't know if it's so much because I'm breathing through my nose so much anymore, but also I get really long, like, snot boogers, right? And I have to get those out, and flushing works the best for that. But to be honest, more than anything, gets allergens out of there as well. So flushing is always great, and it definitely, flushing that warm saline rinse just feels awesome. So if you've never done it, whether or not you've had the surgery or not, that's great stuff. It just feels great. Make sure you boil the water so you don't get the brain-eating amoebas. Boil the water, let it cool down, throw your saline packet in there, and rinse away. Good stuff. And make sure you replace those bottles. They're only good for like 2 months or something like that. They're cheap, thankfully. Let's see, Tammy Furry 6241. Thank you for this video. This is a year ago, actually. I apologize for the late response. My daughter is getting this done. She's 18 years old. Needed to know what to expect. Glad it all went well, knowing that what you breathe is the best thing, I'm sure, because it makes you so tired. Good luck, and would love an update. That is true. I have a lot more energy now that I'm getting better sleep. That's true. I don't need. I mean, I never really had too much of a problem sleeping, even with that. But towards the end, it was getting bad because it was fully blocked, And then, of course, I'd do a round of prednisone, and then it was still fully blocked, and it's like, this isn't working anymore. So. Let's see here. Another 5 months ago, Sean Spellman, 2856. I thought you were going to show your surgery. I need to get both done as well, nasal polyp and deviated septum. I wish I could show my surgery. I wish I had video of the surgery. I don't. I'm sure they don't have it, but I did get photos, so hopefully that did well for you. Let's see. Jazz Monet Blackwell 8306 definitely helped ease my nerves. Thank you for your super detailed video. I am happy to help. I really am. And hopefully I can do another one of these if I get more questions. Let's do a few more here. I have a question I know I showed you a while ago. I'm getting the same thing you had next week. I'm so nervous, and I really appreciate you showing us. How are you doing now that you have you got your polyps back? Do you medicate each day? 2 weeks ago from Martha's 3046. I think I've gone into that pretty well. I'm doing good. Polyps are slowly growing back, and it is what it is. But yeah, I'm doing good. I breathe better, and of course, I just got to work on the rest of my body now. Let's see here. Here's a little comment. So from the Uncommon Charlie 7041, the teeth pressure that I was having is from your maxillary sinus being swollen. These are located very close to teeth. Makes complete sense. I knew it was from the surgery. I knew it was from swelling of some kind. But yeah, the front teeth, just from that sinus pressure, it's kind of weird. But you know, that probably was some of the weird pains that I was having after surgery. But that definitely went away, and I don't have any issues since then. So let's see if I can't find one more. So this is this has been my last one. Hunter Horner 12. This is from a year ago. So again, Hunter, I apologize, but this actually hits home to me, to be honest. I have been a mouth breather for at least 10 years now. I'm so tired of it. I had a head scan years ago and they mentioned nasal polyps, but however, never gone in to confirm. But I am getting tired and burned out. We can only go through so much. Very, very true. I was thinking about going scuba diving, but you need to be able to blow through your nose for certain things. I can't count on my nose being stuffed up. So as of now, I can't even go scuba diving. Anyways, glad you got it. Would love an update. Speedy recovery. I appreciate that. Thank you. That is one of the many things that I kept telling myself. Hey, there's all these things that I want to do when I go on vacations with my kids. Not just scuba diving, but also there's just a lot of things that you have to be able to use your nose properly for. And even to be honest about it, I was snorkeling on a Disney cruise, actually, down in the Bahamas. Even that was not crazy fun, because sometimes you'd have to, clear things through your nose and stuff. And there's a lot of things that this specific condition can make your life a living nightmare, because you just can't breathe. And it's so uncomfortable all of the time. Not being able to smell, I'll be honest, not that big of a deal. Now, I became substantially accustomed to not being able to smell. So tasting is part sense of smell, but I can taste food, right? I know when I'm eating what I'm eating. I'll be honest about it. I think that there are definitely, without a doubt, people that can smell taste better than I do, but I can taste, absolutely can taste. But the big thing is that those sense of smell that go with the taste, I don't get that. And for the brief time that I could smell, man, I'll tell you what, ham and bacon never tasted so good, at least in the last 15, 20 years for me, than they did during that Christmas. Man, was that delicious. But after I lost it, I can still taste ham, and I know it's ham. I mean, I know what ham is. And of course, I always have the memory of what that smell does. And that definitely assists things. But yeah, scuba diving would suck. And that's actually one thing that I was considering doing years ago was, hey, man, I'd be kind of doing the scuba stuff. But it was actually one of the reasons I didn't do it at the time was because of this darn thing. So now I can definitely do it. I'd want to probably make sure I clear everything out. But in all reality, the daily upkeep for this is just nightly. And in the morning, I throw my sinus, my Flonase in, and then a periodic sinus rinse. I should probably be doing the sinus rinse more frequently than I really do. The last few months, I've only done it maybe once a month. But for a while there, I was doing it at least once or twice a week. And I probably should get back to once a week, doing a sinus rinse once a week. But that said, guys, that is a pretty lengthy update on my nasal polyps. And I appreciate you guys patiently waiting for me. I know I wrote responses over the last year and a half periodically on there, but to be honest, I'm just so bombarded with a lot of other comments that I don't need to read, that I don't catch everyone. I don't, and I don't pay attention to it as much as I probably should. And of course, I'm always focusing on, yeah, videos, but my family. And my job and stuff like that. So I apologize for that. I really do. And I'll try to do better. I really will. I'm going to try to do better. But if you have any other questions for me, comment below. Comment away on this video. I'll try to focus on it if I can. And if you watch this all the way to the end, I appreciate you very much. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you back here on techgooch for more videos. If you'd like to see another update video or more information on this whole nasal stuff, let me know. And let me know what you think I should do a video on it for. So thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.